Lillian was the last born, the only girl among 4 brothers. To them, she was not just a sister, she was a treasure. They doted on her, shielded her from harm, and carried her as though she were an egg that could break at the slightest touch. In the village, it was common to see boys hover around the girls, but not Lillian. Her brothers made sure of that. Daniel, the eldest of the boys and closest to her heart, was her constant guardian. Whenever a young man dared to smile at her, Daniel would appear from nowhere, his eyes blazing. Many stories spread in whispers about how the Williams boys chased potential suitors. Once, a boy named Samuel followed Lillian after school, offering to carry her books. Daniel caught sight of him, stormed over, and snatched the books from his hands. "If you ever look at my sister again," Daniel growled, "you will regret it." Samuel fled, trembling, and the whole village laughed about it for weeks. Another time, their second brother, David, dragged a young man by the ear all the way to his mother's shop, just for daring to greet Lillian at the market. Lillian herself sometimes felt suffocated, but deep down, she knew it was love. Their parents, aged and retired, trusted the boys to keep her safe. Daniel often promised, "Don't worry, Lillian. I will see you through nursing school. You will wear that white uniform, and we will all celebrate Lillian's dreams sparkled before her, and her brother's love was her shield." But life, cruel and unexpected, was already preparing a twist none of them saw coming. For how long could they protect her from the world outside? It started innocently. Lillian, though shielded by her brothers, was still a young girl with dreams, laughter, and a heart that longed for freedom. She met Adam by chance. He was not from a wealthy home, but he had the charm of someone who knew how to say the right words at the right time. He noticed her when she fetched water from the stream and offered to help carry her bucket. At first, Lillian resisted. She remembered her brother's warnings, their fierce protectiveness. But Adam was persistent. He would greet her from afar, smile shyly, and pretend he was just passing by. Slowly, his presence became familiar. Against her better judgment, Lillian let him into her world. The brothers, of course, noticed the change. Daniel, in particular, was suspicious. "Why do I see that boy near you?" he asked one evening. Lillian's heart raced. "He's just a friend," she lied. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "There is no such thing as just a friend when it comes to you. Don't make me regret trusting you." But Adam was patient. He listened when she spoke about her dreams of becoming a nurse. He assured her he admired her ambition. "You are different, Lillian," he would say softly. "I will never hurt you." And somehow, she believed him. One evening, when her brothers were away, Lillian allowed Adam to walk her home. That was the night her life took a turn she could never reverse. Their secret meetings grew bolder, and before long, whispers began to spread. Then came the day her stomach refused to hide her secret any longer. Lillian was pregnant. The girl her brothers carried like an egg, the pride of the Williams family, had fallen. What would her brothers do when they discovered the truth? When the news broke, it struck the Williams home like thunder. Daniel was the first to confront her. His voice shook with rage as he stood over her trembling frame. "Lillian, tell me it is not true. Tell me this is a lie." But her silence said it all. Tears rolled down her cheeks, confirming the unthinkable. Her brothers erupted. David punched the wall until his knuckles bled. The younger ones stormed out of the house, unable to look at her. Their mother, clutching her chest, cried aloud, "My only daughter! After all our sacrifices, this is how you repay us?" But the greatest pain came from Daniel. This was the sister he had promised to train, the girl he dreamed of seeing in a nurse's uniform. "Do you know how many girls hawk on the streets just to send themselves to school?" he shouted, pacing furiously. "And here you are, throwing away the future we prepared for you for one foolish boy." The so-called boy, Adam, was summoned. Standing before the family, he raised his hands in denial. "I don't know what she's talking about. I have never even touched her." His words cut deeper than a knife. Lillian sobbed, begging him to admit the truth, but he swore by heaven that he was innocent. The Williams home erupted again. The shame was unbearable. The brothers who once carried her like an egg now turned their backs. Their mother, through tears, made the final pronouncement, "Go to the man who gave you this shame. From today, you are no longer a daughter in this house." That night, Lillian packed her things in silence. The family she once depended on, the brothers who once shielded her, had abandoned her. She walked into the darkness with nowhere to go. But what awaited her in Adam's house would be worse than anything she had ever imagined. Adam had accepted Lillian into his home, but not with love. It was as though he had been forced into a prison with her. The boy who once whispered sweet promises now showed a side she had never seen. His house was small, dark, and unwelcoming, and his heart was colder still. He mocked her growing belly, telling her she was a burden. "Look at you," he sneered one evening. "You think I wanted this? You trapped me." "Now you'll suffer for it," Lillian cried silently, clutching her stomach, wishing she could wake up from the nightmare. Food became a weapon. Adam would eat alone, leaving her with nothing. Some days, she begged neighbors for scraps. Other days, she went hungry. When she dared to complain, he would slap the wall beside her head, his eyes filled with rage. "If you don't like it here, go back to your family," he would spit, knowing too well that her family had rejected her. One rainy night, Lillian stood by the window, drenched in tears, whispering Daniel's name. She remembered how he used to joke with her, how he promised to celebrate her nursing school matriculation. She wondered if he still thought of her, or if shame had buried every trace of their bond. Desperate, she visited the Williams compound a few times, knocking at the gate with trembling hands. Each time, Daniel spotted her from afar and turned away. Sometimes he drove off without a word. Other times he shouted, "Go back! You made your choice." Those rejections cut deeper than Adam's cruelty. Still, she returned whenever hunger pressed her too hard. Their mother would quietly slip her food, but always with stern eyes. "Don't come back here," she warned. 9 long months stretched before Lillian, each day filled with suffering and loneliness. And yet, she carried her child in silence, her hope fading with every passing hour. But as her time of delivery drew near, a tragedy was already waiting at the door. The months crawled by slowly, heavy with pain. Lillian's once bright eyes grew dim, her laughter vanished, and her body weakened under the burden of pregnancy and neglect. Neighbors often whispered about her, how the Williams family had thrown her out, how her husband treated her like a stranger. Some pitied her, others mocked her, but no one stepped in to save her. Each time she walked past the Williams home, her heart ached. She remembered the warmth she once enjoyed there, the laughter of her brothers, her mother's cooking, her father's gentle voice. Now, whenever she approached, she was met with cold stares and closed doors. Daniel, though hardened on the outside, could not escape his thoughts. At work, while laying tiles, memories of Lillian flooded his mind. He would see her shadow in the corner of his eye, hear her voice in the sound of his tools. At night, he often lay awake, remembering the promises he made. Sometimes tears would escape, though he quickly wiped them away. His friends did not make it easier. "So this is the sister you people carried on your head?" they mocked. "After all your boasting, look at how she has shamed your family." Daniel laughed with them at times, but inside, every word pierced him like a blade. 9 months passed, each day dragging the family deeper into regret, though none of them admitted it. Then, one quiet afternoon, Daniel visited his parents. As they sat outside, he broke the silence. "Mama, Lillian has been on my mind," he said softly. "It's been 9 months already. She may have given birth by now. You will soon be a grandmother." His mother forced a bitter smile but quickly looked away. "Do not remind me of her. That girl brought shame to this house." But Daniel noticed her eyes glisten with tears she refused to shed. And then, before they could say more, the unexpected happened. Adam appeared, tears streaming down his face, stumbling into their compound. His shirt was crumpled, his voice broken as he dropped to his knees before them. At once, fear gripped the air. Daniel's heart raced. Their mother's hands trembled. "Where is my daughter?" she cried, clutching her wrapper. Adam could hardly speak. He bowed his head, his shoulders shaking. She's gone," he finally stammered. "Lillian is dead. She died while giving birth." The world seemed to stop. Their mother wailed, tearing at her wrapper, falling to the ground as neighbors rushed in. Daniel grabbed Adam by the collar, shaking him violently. "What do you mean she's dead?" he shouted, his voice breaking. "We had plans for her." "She was supposed to graduate. She was supposed to make us proud." Adam wept harder. I tried to save her. But she worried too much. She cried day and night that you all had abandoned her. Her blood pressure rose, and it took her life." Daniel froze, his grip loosening. The words cut like a knife. In that moment, regret filled his chest like fire. The sister he once loved more than anyone was gone, and nothing could bring her back. The wailing in the compound was so loud that neighbors gathered, whispering and shaking their heads. Daniel's hand still gripped Adam's collar, but the strength in his arms was gone. He dropped to his knees, staring blankly as if the world had ended. "Take us to her," their mother cried, her voice hoarse. "I must see my daughter with my own eyes." "I will not believe it until I see her." Adam nodded through his sobs. Within the hour, the Williams family rushed to the hospital. The corridors smelled of antiseptic, the walls echoing with faint cries of newborn babies. But for them, the sound of life only deepened the sting of death. When the nurse led them into the ward, their hearts shattered. There on the narrow bed lay Lillian, pale, still, her once lively eyes forever closed. Her mother collapsed beside the bed, clutching Lillian's cold hand. "My child! My only daughter!" she screamed, rocking back and forth. Her cries pierced the walls, making even strangers weep. Daniel stood frozen, tears streaming down his face. He remembered the countless times she had begged him for food, for comfort, for love, and how he had turned her away. His chest ached with regret. "We thought we were teaching you a lesson," he whispered, his voice trembling. "But the real lesson is for us, and it has come too late." The room grew colder as Lillian's cries of life faded into silence. All that remained was the baby's whimper, sharp and piercing against the weight of sorrow. The nurse stepped forward, gently laying the child in his grandmother's arms. But Mama Williams stiffened. She looked down at the boy and burst into fresh tears. "How can I carry you with joy when your coming took my daughter away?" she wailed, her voice cracking. Still, she cradled him close, unable to turn her back completely. Daniel, however, could not even look at the child. He paced the room, his fists clenched, his heart heavy with anger. His brothers muttered among themselves, their faces twisted with grief. To them, the child was not a blessing. He was a reminder of Adam, a reminder of shame, a reminder of what they had lost. When Adam tried to approach the baby, Daniel's rage boiled over. He shoved him against the wall, shouting, "Stay away! You have done enough. Because of you, our sister is gone." The younger brothers rushed to hold Daniel back, but his voice thundered across the ward. "You will pay for this. I swear you will pay." The family later had Adam arrested that very night. To them, it was the only way to pour out their bitterness. Yet even with him behind bars, their hearts found no peace. At home, the silence was heavier than ever. The baby's cries echoed through the compound, but no one wanted to hold him. Each whimper reminded them of Lillian's absence, and each time they looked at his tiny face, regret pressed harder on their hearts. Still, Mama Williams could not abandon him. Though the others turned their faces away, she fed him, rocked him, and whispered through her tears, "Your mother may be gone, but I will not throw you away." Days turned into weeks, yet the grief in the Williams household refused to fade. The brothers kept themselves busy with work, avoiding the sound of the baby's cries. Daniel, especially, hardened his heart. Each time he heard the child wail, he would storm out of the compound, unable to bear the reminder of Lillian. One evening, after returning from work, Daniel found his mother sitting on the veranda, rocking the baby slowly. The child clung to her wrapper, his tiny eyes staring up with innocence. Daniel stopped in his tracks, a lump rising in his throat. For a long moment, he simply watched. "Daniel," his mother said quietly, her voice tired but firm, "we cannot keep hating this child. He is all that is left of Lillian. If we reject him too, it will be like burying her twice." Her words pierced Daniel's heart. He remembered Lillian's laughter, the way she used to run to him after school, the promises he made to see her through nursing school, the bond they once shared. Tears filled his eyes, blurring his vision. He sank to the ground, covering his face with his hands. "I failed her," he whispered brokenly. "I turned her away when she needed me most. I thought I was teaching her a lesson, but I was the one who needed to learn." The baby let out a soft cry, and Daniel looked up. Slowly, as if fighting with his own shame, he reached out his hands. His mother placed the child in his arms. Daniel trembled, but when the baby's tiny fingers curled around his heart broke open completely. He wept, long, bitter tears that carried both grief and relief. From that night, Daniel vowed to raise the boy not as a burden, but as a second chance. The family, too, softened, realizing that love should never be withdrawn, no matter the mistakes. And so, through their pain, the Williams family learned the hardest truth. You do not wait for death before showing love, for once a person is gone, regret is all that remains. Lillian's younger brothers wept openly, holding each other for strength. Even their father, who had always tried to remain strong, broke down, his shoulders shaking as he covered his face with trembling hands. In a corner of the ward, a nurse held a tiny bundle. Lillian's baby boy. His soft cries filled the room, innocent yet heavy with the reminder of what had been lost. Daniel turned to look at the child, his heart twisting. This was all that remained of Lillian.